Good morning, afternoon and evening. On this bit of gameplay for Gran Turismo 7, I wanted to show off something interesting and something sort of hidden from the new update. So if you go on update 1.16, no, it's not there, but if you go on 1.65 and you look down to new circuits, you might have just seen, as I scroll back up, along with Yas Marina and Jules Villeneuve, they added Nürburgring Endurance 2. Now, what does that mean entirely? Well, this video is going to showcase that track in all of its glory. So if you go to Europe and Middle East, this is a time trial exclusive. Now, there isn't many tracks in the Gran Turismo franchise that are like that. One that I can think of is Motorsports Land in Gran Turismo 2. There are the weather effects, and we can go into the circuit. Now for this, I will be driving the Porsche 911 GT3R with the Rexy livery, the Halloween Rexy livery. Now this is a reverse version of the Nürburgring 24-hour circuit. Now this is something that we rarely ever see in the Gran Turismo franchise. I can't even think of an example of this. A real world circuit having a reverse layout. When they add real world circuits, it's usually only the Ford layout added. But this Nürburgring track has the reverse layout. Now this footage I'm showing here is of my first ever lap of the circuit. So it's going to show off some sloppy driving, like that bit of runoff there. But how is the track like to drive? Well, honestly, it's kind of strange driving some of these corners the other way. You just don't expect them to come up as quickly. There are a few examples that I show in this video. Would you like to see more of these sort of reverse real-world circuits being added to Gran Turismo? I would. It would be quite interesting seeing the likes of Mount Panorama, the Laguna Seca circuit, Watkins Glen, those sort of circuits officially added in reverse. Obviously you can just flick the car 180 degrees and just head towards the other way, but this sort of feels different, and you can see me doing a bit of apex hunting there and denting poor Rexy. And being very un-Gran Turismo like, there was no major fanfare or anything to do with this being added. It was just quietly added into the game. I didn't even notice it until there was that little green icon where they showcased everything new in the update, and there was something on the Nürburgring. And I thought it would have been a new event or a new circuit experience maybe, but no. It was a new time trial for a new layout of the circuit. Now obviously you have to, oh Jesus bro, it's a bad example of going down that straight. Obviously you have to take all the corners rather differently because, well, some braking zones are longer than they used to be. I mean, that's the case with any track, but who would have thought that this sort of thing could have been added into the game? That's the crash that I put on the YouTube Shorts a few days ago. If you saw that, congratulations, you're one of 1,700 or so people to do so. Now, do they go further with this? Like I said, do they either add more reverse layouts of real world circuits, or do they add an event to this? Because like I said, this is time trial exclusive. You can't even do a custom race on the reverse version of the 24-hour layout, but do they go one step further and add an event maybe, or sport mode? Imagine a Group 3 race around this track that is extremely unfamiliar to a majority of the player base. I mean, this is my first lap around the circuit, and as you can see, it's quite sloppy, I will admit. I'm not going to sugarcoat things when it comes to this. As we head under the bridge, which usually you head towards the bridge out of that corner, it's weird braking underneath it, and it changes some elevation zones and takes out some crests and jumps in the circuit. And for a wee bit, I'm just going to have a bit of raw flat 6 gameplay for you, for those that like to listen to that Porsche whine. And that's a good place to finish it off into the wall. Heading back onto the Grand Prix layout, this is the variation of the circuit with the good chicane, not the utterly shit one. And again, it's so weird going through this layout backwards. It just feels so foreign, but unlike just turning around and going the other way on the normal circuit, I mean, there are braking markers, so it is, like you said, see, there's 150 and all that. Now I'm just rambling at this point, but it's so cool that Gran Turismo just sprinkled this in there without, like I said, any fanfare. They didn't even show this in the update trailer, I don't think. So they just minded their own business, just put this in there, and like I said, do they do this with more circuits? I think so. I think they will do it with another famous circuit. Imagine the Spa-Francorchamps circuit like this. It would be awesome as I head onto the last straight. So that was the Nürburgring 24-hour layout in reverse. If you like this video and you want to see more, give a like and a subscribe. The support would be very much appreciated. Some more Gran Turismo content coming into the future, more custom car builds, more time trials, more weekly challenges, and possibly more just random videos like this. So I will see you in the next one, and while you're there, have a look at one of these two videos. It might interest you